It's a pretty decent game. Wish I could play it more? It's quite good. I've played it for a few hours. I still get misty when I remember my pet raccoon, Willie. Willie had already lost all 4 legs defending me from prior attacks by bandit raiders. We came under attack again, and the raiders made it inside our base and a bandit cornered me in my bedroom. I was finished for sure. Willie wriggled on his belly across the floor and bit the ankle of the bandit, who began shooting at Willie, giving me time to charge the bandit and take him down, but Willie had been shot. Willie saved my life, but he was critically injured and dying. We rushed Willie to the medical bay and managed to stabilize him. Not only would Willie live, while in surgery, the doctor was able to attach 4 new wooden peg legs. When Willie was awake and healed, he was able to scamper across the potato fields on his new wooden legs, hero and protector of our village. I got 200 down votes on Reddit because I used a wooden floors in my base. I've spent over 900 hours building colonies, creating stories, and committing war crimes in many different environments. Now I'm able to do it in RimWorld too. It took me 50 hours to figure out how to cook and manage a few people. Then they all died. 10 out of 10. I have 52 cats. Every winter we run out of food and my colonists starve. The cats eat their bodies and last long enough until the next summer. If we are lucky, a raid of many tribal men will arrive and the cats will have food for months. The cats have kittens and then we have more cats and need more food. I do not think we will leave this planet. Homer, the original pet of the colony, has been made fully bionic and will now never die. He is our true leader. This game not only teaches you management skills, it also teaches you people skills. Using the statistical analysis in the game as it pertains to people's moods, IRL, will help you understand and appreciate the specific nature of those around you, with their different proclivities and traits, and how they fit into a functional society. For instance, when I play this game, my mother gets very angry. But I now understand this is because I am a night owl, and interrupted sleep gives her a hefty debuff. On top of this, when she has a mental break and goes on an insulting spree, I don't blame her outright. I understand this is because of the lack of beauty in her surroundings and an unwanted food type. In this case, Taco Bell. You'll get at least a couple hours out of it. Gets repetitive eventually. I doubt you'll get more than a couple of thousand hours out of it. My wife doesn't like or play video games. She loves RimWorld. I've never seen her touch anything else. When we play, I set up the base, make sure the power stays on and the heal root is harvested. The mother of my children, the light of my life, sits next to me and plays the game by suggesting things like, the colony could make far more silver if we were to simply imprison raiders, remove organs, skin, butcher, and consume their flesh. I thought I knew everything about this lady. Damn. We've spent all 1,176 hours in this game together. It's okay, I guess? I don't know. Sometimes I think Steam should increase their refund window to something more reasonable like 3,000 hours. I've spent about 100 real-world days playing this game, and here is what I can tell you. I have to stop writing this so I can go play more. This game is amazing. Buy it now, you fool. Pawn gives birth. It is not a healthy birth. Unfortunately, the baby passes away. Another pawn has an extreme mental break, which results in them digging up a corpse and wanting to show it to everyone. Guess which corpse she dug up and who she showed it to. 11 out of 10. I can stop whenever I want. Help. Full underground base. Chem fuel stored in a granite room with no cables in the walls, so I figured it was safe. A ZIT event set a colonist on fire who fled into the chem fuel stockpile. The stockpile exploded, destroying the wall between it and the hallway. The initial explosion was fairly well contained, but the heat from the fire raised the temperature in the communal hall to several hundred degrees in about 15 seconds, then all the furniture caught fire as well. There was nowhere for the heat to go and relatively little space to heat up, so it turned the whole place into a furnace. Even the coolers caught fire, then the food caught fire. The communal hall included all the hallways that went throughout my base, ironically to make temperature control easier. So there was no way to get out of the base other than to go through the communal hall. One dumbass died in the initial explosion. 3 caught fire in the halls before reaching the shelter of the adjacent rooms. Those already in those rooms caught fire as they were dying of heat stroke. The communal hall reached over 2,000 degrees Celsius. There were no survivors. This game is a wondrous give and take. For instance, I was drop-shipped 20 Yorkie dogs, all of which were tame. This was a glorious day, but sadly it was winter and food was low, so we had to make some sacrifices. Thankfully, the meat harvested from one of my colonists was enough to keep all my Yorkies and other colonists alive long enough for the upcoming harvest. Plus, I got a nice human leather hat out of it all. 10 out of 10. 9 cats wandered into my colony, and I was happy. The cats ate through my colony's food so quickly that everyone started starving, and I was worried. I killed, skinned, and cooked 8 of the cats to survive out of desperation, and I was sad. The one cat I kept started eating the cat meat on the floor, and I was mortified. One of my colonists got too stressed and started smashing stuff, causing a fire that killed the final cat, and I was angry. I stripped the colonist naked and banished him to the forest as punishment where he was captured by slave traders, and I felt nothing. This game is truly an emotional roller coaster. If you're thinking of buying this game, stop hesitating and purchase it immediately. I started an isolated research facility on a frozen wasteland as a 74-year-old sociopathic scientist called Gekulon Dektar. I researched robotics to begin with and constructed some automatons to handle the menial tasks like cleaning, cooking, and hauling, etc., leaving me free to conduct my research. All was well until a band of savages laid siege to my settlement. I barely survived, but resolved to increase my security, installing several auto turrets around my perimeter. This would keep the ruffians at bay for a time, but I needed a longer-term solution. So I turned my focus to bionic enhancements. I wanted to turn the human form into the ultimate living weapon. When a faction of slavers passed through my frozen wasteland, I did not hesitate to inspect their wares. I wanted a slave, but not just any slave. He should be foreboding, brutal, and utterly without mercy. And that was when I found him. His name was Skint McGruff. He was a feared crime lord when they captured him, infamous for killing and then devouring the people who wronged him. I paid the slavers their due and took Skint in. I fed him, alas, not the human meat he desired, but nutrient paste made from potatoes. Poor fare, but such is life in the frozen wastes. And I clothed him. By now I was confident in my ability to improve upon the human form, and so I presented the idea to him the very next day. He was keen, particularly about the notion of having retractable claws. And so the work began. My medical droid handled most of the surgery, but I crafted the bionic components myself. It was a long and grueling process, but eventually, he was complete. More machine now than man, I felt it necessary to rename him, to symbolize his departure from prosaic humanity to something more, and thus I named him CANNIBAL, Cybernetic Armored Neutralizer with neurally integrated bionic attack limbs. He is my pride and joy. Bionic eyes that can see even in the dark, bionic legs that allow him to sprint faster than a cheetah, and retractable claws with which to tear out the throats of my foes. And of course, I give him leave to feast on their corpses afterward as a reward. Now, I can finally conduct my research in peace. Ran a sweet little colony called Haven. This random brawler joins us called Bowman. Turns out he's awesome with a spear, so I give him hunting duties. Bowman fearlessly defends the colony on several occasions from tribals and pirates. Anyway, for some reason, a bunch of beavers show up and start eating all the trees. This is unacceptable because wood is a key resource for me, so I dispatch Bowman to go and deal with them. The situation gets the better of him, and unfortunately, both his arms are torn off by beavers. I send another colonist out to go and rescue him, and he's in a hospital bed just in time to save his life. This is annoying that I've now lost my best melee defender. But whatever, I'll just buy some new arms for him and turn him into some sort of cyborg hunting machine. As luck would have it, a passing trader just so happens to have a single bionic arm, so I snap one up and schedule an operation to install it. My resident doctor, a criminal surgeon, is enjoying a few beers in the community center and decides to head down to surgery because he's dedicated like that. And besides, it's not like there's any laws on this planet against surgically installing bionic implants whilst under the influence. I watch the surgery progress with a bit of blood being splashed around, but I have full confidence in my drunk skill level 6 surgeon. But then things take a turn for a worse, and I am notified that regrettably Bowman has not survived the procedure. Devastated, I go and inspect the colonist's health panel and discover that my semi-competent, semi-sober surgeon has accidentally surgically removed his heart. I have never in my life laughed so hard whilst playing a computer game. Long story short, in the days preceding, a ton of pirates show up, kill the vast majority of my colonists, enslave the rest, and then burn my colony to the ground. That, in a nutshell, is the story of Haven. Our only doctor, aptly named Doctor, got a bad case of the Mondays and decided to take a walk while the colony's leader suffered from an extremely infected neck wound he had received defending the colony. Our leader struggled bravely, but without medical care, he died a painful, labored death. Farter, our brave leader's dog, took this loss especially hard and lacked an emotional coping strategy. He tore out our cook Herman's throat out as he was preparing his famous boomalope casserole. Sprinkles, the custodian, was the next to go. The dog found our one-armed janitor enjoying a beer in the common room. Sprinkles defended himself admirably, but all was in vain as there is no viable defense against a grief-stricken canine. Farter ripped off Sprinkles' remaining arm and dutifully trudged outside. He found Doctor strolling amongst the palm fronds, feeling sorry for himself and presumably writing weepy poetry about his trials and sorrows. Doctor pleaded his case to Farter. How could this dog not understand that the living room had been too dirty? 3 dirt piles. In the living room. How can he save lives if there are 3 dirt piles in the living room? What kind of kiddie pool operation would make a professional work under conditions like that? Is it any wonder he had to get out of there and take a power jog? Surely our great and brave leader would have understood, right? 3 dirt piles. Death did not come quickly for Doctor. The bite had crushed his spine, and only after 2 hard days did he finally succumb to the elements and starvation. As for Farter, his job was over. It was time to rest. His victories had come at too great a cost, and the defensive wounds he had taken each battle were taking their toll. Farter limped his way back into the colony base, past Herman still bleeding out amongst his boomalope meat, over Sprinkles' now armless body, by his master's gangrenous corpse, through the 3 dirt piles and into the freezer. Farter laid down. His frozen body was the last they found, behind a crate of strawberries. Good boy, Farter. Good boy. Let's say you capture a prisoner after a bloody raid on your colony. Do you want to 1. Let them go in the hopes of improving relations with the attackers? You can do that. 2. Heal them and have colonists talk to them about how great your colony is until they join? You can do that. 3. Have a colonist with a high medical skill remove their liver to transplant into an alcoholic colonist? You can do that. 4. Have a colonist with a low medical skill remove their organs just for practice? You can do that. 5. Eat them because you forgot to stock up on food for the winter? You can do that. Really, what else do you need in a game?